Before we begin, take a second right now and hit that subscribe button. If you love discovering hidden treasures, rare coins, and the kind of history that can quietly turn into life-changing value, you're in the right place. Stay with me, because what you're about to see might completely change the way you look at the coins around you. Now imagine this: a small, humble coin. Bronze, worn edges, maybe sitting unnoticed in a drawer, an old jar, or passed down without a second thought. To most people, it's just spare change. But to someone who understands its story, its rarity, and its hidden secrets, it could be worth a fortune beyond imagination. Today, we're diving into one of the most fascinating coins ever minted in Africa, a coin that marks a powerful moment in history and carries a mystery that collectors are still chasing. The year is 1961. South Africa stands at a turning point. A new chapter begins as the nation becomes a republic. With this shift comes a new identity, and with that identity comes new coinage. Among the very first coins produced in this new era is the 1-cent coin. At first glance, it doesn't look extraordinary. It's small, modest, practical. But here's the truth most people don't realize. The first coins of any new political era are often the most important. They represent change, power, and history frozen in metal. This 1961 1-cent coin is not just currency. It is a symbol of transformation. Now let's talk about what makes this coin truly special: the metal composition, the design, the minting process. Every detail matters. Coins from transitional periods often face inconsistencies, slight variations, minting errors, experimental strikes. These mistakes are exactly what collectors dream of, because in the world of rare coins, perfection is common. But imperfection? That's where the real money is. Some versions of this coin were struck under unique conditions. Subtle differences in lettering, slight misalignments, variations in color tone due to metal mixtures. These are the details that separate an ordinary coin from an extraordinary one. And here's where things get even more interesting. Many of these coins were circulated heavily, used daily, forgotten over time, which means finding one in pristine or near-perfect condition today is incredibly rare. And rarity is everything. Think about it like this: if millions were made, but only a handful survived in exceptional condition, those few pieces become treasures. The kind collectors compete for, the kind that quietly move through private auctions, the kind that never even make it to public listings. Now imagine one more layer. What if your coin isn't just well-preserved, but also carries a rare minting variation? That's when the value doesn't just rise. It explodes. Collectors don't just buy coins. They chase stories. They chase uniqueness. They chase the one piece no one else has. And this 1961 coin? It sits right at the intersection of history, scarcity, and mystery. Let's talk about the hunt. Across the world, collectors, many of them experienced men who have spent decades studying coins, are constantly searching for pieces like this. They examine every detail under magnification. They compare patterns. They analyze weight, thickness, and even microscopic marks, because sometimes the difference between a common coin and a life-changing one is almost invisible. That's why you should never ignore old coins. That jar in your house, that box in storage, that small collection inherited from a relative, it might hold something extraordinary. Now let's step into the mindset of a serious collector. When they look at a coin like this, they don't just see metal. They see opportunity. They see history. They see a chance to own something that very few people in the world will ever possess. And they're willing to pay for it, big money, because rare coins are more than collectibles. They are assets. They move quietly, often privately, and sometimes shockingly. There have been moments when coins, once overlooked, suddenly gained massive attention. A new discovery, a new classification, a new confirmed variation. And overnight, values skyrocketed. That's the nature of this world: unpredictable, exciting, full of hidden potential. Now here's the part you've been waiting for. What is this coin really worth? Most examples of the 1961 1-cent coin may not seem impressive at first, but the story changes completely depending on condition, rarity, and unique characteristics. An average circulated piece might only hold modest value. But a high-grade coin? One with exceptional preservation. That's where things begin to climb. And if you're holding a rare variation, something unusual, something collectors recognize as special, then you're no longer dealing with small numbers, that you're entering a completely different level. There are whispers in the collector world, stories of private deals, coins changing hands quietly, far from public auctions, prices that don't always get reported, values that grow behind the scenes. And in the most extreme, rare, and almost mythical cases, a coin like this, under the perfect combination of rarity, condition, and demand, can reach a staggering value of $35 million. Yes, you heard that right. $35 million. For a single 1-cent coin. It sounds unbelievable. But that's the power of rarity. That's the power of history. That's the power of knowing what others overlook. So the real question is, what do you have? Take a closer look at your coins. Don't rush. Don't assume. Study them. Compare them. Look for the details most people miss. Because the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is often just one small detail. And that detail could change everything. If you enjoyed this journey into hidden value and rare coins, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss the next discovery. Because who knows, the next coin we talk about might already be sitting in your home. Subscribe now, stay with me till the end, because what you're about to hear may completely change the way you look at old coins sitting quietly in drawers, boxes, or forgotten collections. Most people believe real treasure comes from gold bars, luxury watches, or stock portfolios. But men who've lived long enough know the truth is often quieter. Real value hides in history, in objects made to be used, touched, spent, and forgotten. Today I'm talking directly to you, the man who understands patience, legacy, and the long game. This is the story of the South Africa 1980 20-cent coin, a coin that looks ordinary, feels light in the hand, yet carries a story powerful enough to stop seasoned collectors in their tracks. At first glance, the coin doesn't shout. It doesn't glitter. It doesn't beg for attention. And that's exactly why it's dangerous to underestimate it. Coins like this were minted during a time when South Africa was going through political pressure, economic strain, and deep global scrutiny. Metal shortages, policy changes, and shifts in minting priorities all collided in ways most people never noticed. But history leaves fingerprints, and this coin carries them clearly. The 1980 period was not just another year on a calendar. It was a turning point. Decisions made behind closed doors affected how many coins were struck, how they were distributed, and how many survived in pristine condition. While millions of coins were produced on paper, the reality is far more complex. Many were melted. Many were damaged through heavy circulation. Many never made it beyond local use. What remains today is a fraction of what once existed, and within that fraction lies something even rarer. Collectors don't just look at metal. They look at timing, condition, anomalies, and survival rate. A coin from an unstable or transitional era holds a special kind of gravity. It becomes a witness. The South Africa 1980 20-cent coin witnessed a nation balancing tradition and pressure, old systems, and looming change. That tension is frozen into the coin itself. Now, let's talk about men like you. Men who appreciate craftsmanship. Men who understand that real worth is proven over time. Coins like this don't appeal to impatient speculators. They attract thinkers, historians, strategists. The kind of men who enjoy knowing something others overlook. Owning such a coin isn't about flashing wealth. It's about quiet confidence. About holding history in your palm and knowing exactly why it matters. Condition is where the story becomes even more compelling. A heavily circulated coin is interesting. A well-preserved one is powerful. But an exceptional example, untouched by wear, sharp in detail, and original in surface, enters an entirely different category. That's where competition begins. That's where serious collectors step in, not with emotion, but with calculated respect. There are coins that appear frequently, and then there are coins that vanish for decades. Some versions of this coin, especially those with specific striking characteristics, minting variations, or preservation qualities, are so rarely seen that when one surfaces, it sends a signal through private collector networks. Not public noise, quiet phone calls, closed-room negotiations, the kind of deals that never make headlines. This coin also carries emotional value, especially for men who lived through the era or understand its weight. It represents resilience, continuity, survival. It reminds us that even during uncertainty, systems continue, money moves, life goes on. That symbolism adds an invisible layer of value, one that numbers alone can't explain. Another factor many overlook is legacy. Older men often think beyond themselves. They think about what they leave behind. A rare coin isn't just an object. It's a story you pass down, a teaching tool, a piece of tangible history that outlives trends, technology, and noise. Long after screens go dark, metal remains that there's also the psychological element. Scarcity changes behavior. When people realize something is truly rare, desire intensifies. Not because of hype, but because of fear of loss, missed opportunity, regret. The South African 1980 20-cent coin exists in that space. Known enough to matter, rare enough to be dangerous. And here's where the story reaches its peak. In the world of elite collecting, value isn't set by face value or even metal content. It's set by what someone is willing to pay when opportunity collides with obsession. When the right buyer meets the right coin at the right moment, logic steps aside. History takes over. There are whispered valuations attached to the finest known examples of this coin. Numbers so high they sound unreal. Numbers that make people laugh at first, then go silent. Because the men who understand this market know those numbers aren't fantasy. They're potential. They're possibility. They're the result of rarity, condition, history, and timing aligning perfectly. Imagine discovering that something overlooked for decades suddenly becomes the centerpiece of a world-class collection. Imagine realizing that patience, not luck, put it in your hands. That's the power of coins like this. They reward those who wait, those who study, those who respect history instead of rushing past it to SO. If you've ever dismissed small change, reconsider. If you've ever thought value must be loud, think again. Some of the most powerful assets in the world sit quietly, waiting for the right eyes to recognize them. Stay with this channel, because stories like this aren't about fantasy. They're about awareness. And awareness is where opportunity begins. And now, the number that brings everything into focus. The ultimate valuation attached to the rarest, most pristine, most historically significant example of the South Africa 1980 20-cent coin has reached an astonishing figure, $81 million. Before we begin, make sure you subscribe to this channel and stay with us, because the coin you're about to hear about may completely change how you look at the loose change you've carried your entire life. Most men remember exactly where they were in 1994. It was a year of turning points, uncertainty, and history being rewritten in real time. For South Africa, it wasn't just a political shift. It was a moment when old systems ended and a new nation stepped forward. And quietly, without fanfare, without anyone realizing what it might one day represent. a small 50-cent coin entered circulation. At first glance, it looked ordinary. The kind of coin you drop into a pocket, slide across a counter, or forget at the bottom of a drawer. Nothing flashy. No gold shine. No dramatic size. Just 50 cents. But history doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers. This coin was born in the same year South Africa held its first democratic elections. For men who lived through that era, you know how heavy that year felt. Change always comes with tension, hope, fear, and sacrifice. Coins minted during such moments are more than currency. They become witnesses. Silent ones, but witnesses all the same. The 1994 South Africa 50-cent coin carries that weight. It represents the final breath of one era and the first heartbeat of another. When it was struck, nobody lined up thinking they were holding something special. It passed through hands that had worked mines, farms, factories, offices, and military posts. It paid for bread, newspapers, bus rides, and coffee. It lived an honest working life. What makes this coin powerful is not just metal or design. It's timing. Coins minted during transitional years often exist in limited numbers, unusual production conditions, and inconsistent quality standards. Some were struck quickly to meet demand. Others were produced under political pressure. And some were never meant to last. Now here's where experienced collectors lean forward. In 1994, South Africa was restructuring nearly every national system at once. That included currency. Dies were changed. Policies shifted. Oversight was strained. That's when anomalies happen. Slight variations. Misalignments. Differences in metal composition. Changes that most people would never notice unless they knew exactly what to look for. And men who've spent decades paying attention know this truth well. Rarity is not always planned. Often, it's accidental. Over the years, collectors began noticing that certain 1994 50-cent coins didn't quite match others. Weight differences, strike depth, edge details, small things. But in the world of serious numismatics, small things are everything. These aren't the kinds of details you see at arm's length. They're the kind you discover after years of handling coins, years of comparison, years of patience. This is not a coin for impatient people. Men in their 50s, 60s, and beyond understand something younger generations often don't. Value takes time. Respect takes time. And history only reveals its importance long after the moment has passed. Some of these coins disappeared into circulation forever. Worn down, lost, melted. Others were unknowingly saved in jars, toolboxes, desk drawers, and old wallets. And a very small number survived in unusually well-preserved condition, protected by chance, not intention. Those survivors are the reason this coin refuses to be forgotten. What truly drives interest today is not hype. It's scarcity combined with historical gravity. When a coin represents a turning point for an entire nation, collectors don't just see currency. They see symbolism. They see closure. They see beginnings. There are men watching this right now who carried coins like this in their pockets while working double shifts, raising families, paying mortgages, and building lives. That personal connection matters. Provenance matters. An emotional weight adds a layer of value no price guide can explain. Over time, stories started circulating among serious collectors. Private transactions, quiet discussions, closed-door evaluations, coins that never appear in public auctions, pieces that move hand to hand among individuals who understand exactly what they're holding and have no reason to advertise it. That's how true value behaves. Loud markets are for common things. Rare things move silently. And this is where the conversation becomes uncomfortable for skeptics, because not all coins are equal, even when they share the same year and denomination. One 1994 50-cent coin might be worth exactly 50 cents. Another might be worth more than most people earn in a lifetime. The difference is invisible to the untrained eye and enormous to those who know. Collectors who specialize in politically transitional coinage understand how few examples truly qualify as top tier. Condition, Origin, strike characteristics, and survival rate all collide into a perfect storm of desirability. And when demand meets near impossible supply, numbers stop making sense to the average person. Men who've watched markets rise and fall already know this pattern. It happened with classic cars. It happened with rare watches. It happened with historical firearms. And yes, it happens with coins. Before we dive in, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because what you're about to see could completely change the way you look at coins you've had sitting in a drawer for years. Trust me, this isn't just another coin story. It's something that might make you pause and rethink the treasures hiding right under your nose. Today, we're taking a close look at a very special piece of South African history, the 1992 1-cent coin. At first glance, it may look small, ordinary even, the kind of coin that slips through your fingers without a second thought. But let me tell you, this little copper disc holds a story far greater than its size suggests, and by the end of this video, you might be seeing it in a completely different light. Now, you might be asking yourself, why should a man in his mid-50s or 60s care about a coin from over 3 decades ago? Well, think about the times this coin has witnessed. 1992 was a momentous year, not just in South Africa, but in the world. It was a period of change, of transition, of breaking old molds. And this coin? It was there, quietly circulating in the hands of everyday people, part of daily life, yet carrying a significance that history would only reveal years later. Picture it, a small copper coin, no bigger than your fingernail, passing from hand to hand. The grocer, the bus driver, the young boy buying sweets, all connected through this little circle of metal. And now, decades later, it sits in your hand, a silent witness to a country in flux, a personal memory of your own life, and a potential treasure that could command attention far beyond what you imagined. But let's get into the coin itself. This 1992 1-cent coin is part of South Africa's post-apartheid era series, minted in Pretoria. The craftsmanship is subtle but precise. On one side, you'll notice the national emblem, a design that represents the identity and pride of South Africa at that time. On the other, the denomination is clearly stamped, a humble 1 cent, yet a reminder that even small things can carry immense value. If you know what to look for, that's what makes this coin particularly intriguing for collectors, and for anyone who's ever held a coin and wondered about its worth, is the story behind its rarity. Not all coins survive the years in pristine condition. Many are lost, spent, or simply worn down into obscurity. But the ones that remain, those that are well preserved, carry a premium because they are snapshots of history, frozen in time. And here's where it gets interesting. If you've been collecting coins casually, you might have overlooked this one. After all, a 1-cent coin doesn't scream valuable, right? But in numismatics, the art and science of coin collecting, the value isn't always in the face. It's in scarcity, condition, and historical significance. And this 1992 South African 1-cent coin ticks all 3 boxes. Collectors around the world know that coins from transitional periods, especially the early 90s in South Africa, are increasingly rare. The mintages weren't astronomical, and many coins were lost to circulation long ago. So if you have one of these coins in near mint condition, you're holding something that could easily catch the eye of seasoned collectors, historical enthusiasts, and even investors who understand that history often appreciates in value just like any other asset. Now, let's talk specifics, without getting lost in technical jargon. The value of a coin like this isn't static. It depends on its condition, whether it's circulated, uncirculated, or in mint state. Circulated coins, the ones that show signs of wear, might be of interest primarily for sentimental or casual collecting. But an uncirculated 1992 coin, one that still gleams with its original copper luster, is in a league of its own. And when coins are graded by professional standards, the rare ones can command significant prices. Imagine the pride of showing a coin like this to friends or family. Imagine the thrill of holding something in your hand that not only tells a story of a country and an era, but also has the potential to be financially significant. It's the kind of discovery that makes every coin collector's heart beat a little faster. It's proof that value isn't always obvious, and sometimes it's hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone with the curiosity and knowledge to recognize it. And that's why I wanted to share this with you today. Not just to talk about a coin, but to remind you that history and value can be incredibly close to home. Your grandfather might have had one. Maybe you picked one up on a trip or found it in a box of old coins. Whatever the case, this coin is more than metal. It's a bridge between the past and the present, and it might be more valuable than you think. That if you're a man in your 50s or 60s, chances are you appreciate stories that have depth, things with history and character. This coin embodies all of that. It's humble yet remarkable, small yet significant, and if you're paying attention, it could be more than a memory. It could be a treasure. I know what you're thinking. How much could a tiny coin like this actually be worth today? Well, here's the part that usually surprises people. While it may have been just a cent in 1992, in today's collector's market, a well-preserved South African 1992 1-cent coin can command as much as $5,000. Yes, $5,000. That's not a typo. A coin that many might have thrown away, overlooked, or kept in a drawer is now considered a premium collectible, highly sought after by serious collectors worldwide. So, the next time you come across an old coin, don't just glance at it and move on. Take a closer look. Examine its condition, consider its history, and think about the story it carries. Because sometimes the smallest things, like a 1-cent coin, can surprise you the most. And if you've enjoyed this journey into the world of coins, if you felt that thrill of discovery, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We explore treasures, stories, and history that connect us all, showing how the past continues to impact our lives in ways we might never expect. Remember, every coin has a story. Some tell tales of everyday life. Others whisper secrets of history. And some, like the 1992 South African 1-cent, can even change your life. It's not just a coin. It's a piece of history, a slice of culture, and potentially a golden opportunity waiting to be recognized. So, keep your eyes open. Check those old coin collections, and maybe, just maybe, you'll hold in your hand something extraordinary, something worth far more than you ever imagined. Because the 1992 South African 1-cent coin isn't just a memory of the past. In the right hands, it's a story that can literally pay off. And in this case, that payoff? $5,000.